righty, let's take a second and go in depth, shall we? Tonight, we want to go in depth into the inbox. A lot of you had a lot to say about our conversation last week on political ads. It is a presidential campaign year, and we all know the avalanche of those ads are on the way. Many of you expressed how annoying this is. Pamela said, thank heavens for DVR. I can't imagine listening to 1 second of any useless, obnoxious, sleazy political ad, hitting all the categories there. Gary said he really enjoyed the segment, writing, you are worth twice your salary. Gary, I appreciate that. If you wanted to forward that message to my bosses, I'm not going to stand in your way. I might even cut you in, Gary. Tom says the segment is growing on him, writing, I thought you were unusual. Think weird. But now I realize you're just being the honest you. See, Tom gets it. That's all I'm trying to do here. Now, that said, I am pretty weird. Trust your instincts. But I work hard to be honest and balanced, and I have all of you to thank to help keeping this segment that way. And speaking of honesty, Ashley wrote in demanding it. She writes, there is a duty to vet all commercials for veracity, period. Lying is not protected under the First Amendment. So first of all, there were a lot of capital letters in that email, and I get it. This subject is frustrating, and actually, you aren't wrong. Some speech must be true. For instance, commercials must be truthful. False advertising is not okay. Coca-Cola can't tell you that their new drink will give you eternal life. That is deceptive language. The FTC regulates that sort of thing. But political ads, they aren't technically commercials. For instance, selling products for profit is not regulated the same way as selling, say, ideas for power. Here is how a UNC professor explained it.
Political speech is different than commercial speech. Sometimes figuring out the line between the two, as you can figure, might not always be that easy. But there is a basic difference in the way the court views restrictions on political speech as opposed to commercial speech.
So basically, yes, lying with the context of a candidate's political ad is protected. I mean, you may not like those rules, but those are the rules. People have challenged those rules for years, and they keep on losing those challenges. In 1972, a Senate candidate in Georgia named J.B. Stoner was a self-proclaimed racist. He used horrible racial slurs in his ads. He said black people wanted to integrate with white people so that they could get white women. The NAACP, they petitioned the FCC to decline to air these ads. The FCC, though, sided with Stoner, citing freedom of speech decisions from the Supreme Court, saying, we are constrained to deny your requests. In 2016, a federal court struck down an Ohio law that tried to ban campaigns from, frankly, spreading false statements. Judge R. Guy Cole Jr. wrote in his decision, even false speech receives some constitutional protection. So time and time again, the courts reinforce the freedom of candidates to mislead voters or lie to voters in their ads. So, like it or not, the avalanche is still coming. Keep sending those emails. Your questions and ideas help drive this segment. Send an email to dan@WRAL.com. We need your perspective to dive into these stories. You know, sometimes the news, we don't see the whole picture. We miss things sometimes. We need you to tell us where our blind spots are. Tell me your thoughts. We'll go in depth. Now, if you ever miss one of my segments on TV, you can always listen to them as a podcast anytime. Just find WRAL In Depth with Dan Haggerty. It's an Apple Podcast. It's on Spotify. It's on WRAL.com. It's everywhere. Send it to your friends. Just search podcast.